on Chronicle.
It's something that just brings people together.
It's a feast for foodies in the Carolinas.
I mean, we're on the national map now.
With no shortage of places to fill your plate.
It's all good.
Home cooking.
And our food jumps out at you. Alles schmeckt sehr gut.
International cuisine.
It's just something that you don't find everywhere else.
And of course,
it's the flavor, right?
barbecue.
You had the mustard. You had the vinegar.
I like the mild.
Mustard sauce is the best to me.
All right.
Food is the quickest way to unite people.
I call it a hole in the wall.
It's big business that brings us all to the table.
Feed somebody's soul, that lasts forever.
All right.
Now on Chronicle, Carolina Cuisine.
Welcome to Chronicle. I'm Jane Robelo. Food brings people together, and our area is getting real national recognition for being a food destination. Southern Living magazine recently named Greenville one of the tastiest towns in the South, and Asheville was picked as the #1 foodie city in the United States by Yelp. So pull up a chair, sit down at the table with us as we examine what makes Carolina cuisine so special. Gabrielle Komorowski kicks it off with a look at what's in the special sauce that leads to all this success.
It brings us to the table.
The experience is exciting to try something new.
Hello, thank you.
Together.
We find more in common with each other sitting across the table with food than we do with any other medium.
I love sitting down and eating with people.
Food.
For me, food is my love language.
There's a lot of different options.
Brings people.
Great food, tons of food.
To new places.
It's a city that we've always wanted to visit.
These are called cat head biscuits.
On his culinary tours.
So that's been here 25 years.
Historian and author John Nolan.
A lot of neighborhoods right into downtown.
Guides visitors into downtown Greenville restaurants.
So this tour is different every time.
Sharing the local flavor.
You probably, in Michigan, never had a fried green tomato.
With a side of history.
It's called red eye gravy. So that's something that's also very southern. So red eye gravy always has coffee in it.
He says Greenville's restaurants are appealing for tourists and businesses.
Companies that they say, why are you relocating here? And part of it sometimes is because of the culinary scene.
And I just kind of believed that if we could put a stake in the ground down here, that one day we might be the center of downtown.
Carl Sobocinski wanted his signature restaurant, Sobeys New South Cuisine, to feature traditional Southern dishes.
And I was looking at Greenville and what we had and what we didn't have, and we did not have anybody doing that kind of cuisine.
Sobeys opened in 1997. The timing for this creation and location was just right.
In the early days of downtown's revitalization, the buildings, the storefronts were boarded up. And the first businesses, the majority of the businesses that came were restaurants.
Restaurants gave people a reason to come to downtown Greenville. But Sobocinski says it's the way people are treated at a restaurant that makes them come back.
So this is table 301. If you're sitting at this table, you can look down and watch the chefs cooking. We want any guest at any table in our restaurant to feel like they're at table 301, like they're in our kitchen, they're in our home.
The Table 301 restaurant group has grown, and in 2023, Sobeys was the only restaurant in South Carolina to make the list of Open Table's top 100 brunch restaurants in the country.
I'm very competitive, but I also want our competitive restaurants in town to be successful because all boats rise with a rising tide.
Throw down a chicken quesadilla.
There's room at the table for new restaurateurs.
This is definitely one of the more unique things on the menu, for sure. And we can put it in quesadillas. I put it in tacos. I can put it in a burrito.
Using ingredients like cactus, Dana Lee serves a taste of Brownsville, Texas at Comal 864.
And I want to share it because our food is really good back home. Our people are really good. There's a lot of love in what we do. Familia is like the core of who we are.
Her restaurant family grew quickly in 2023 when she was named a semifinalist for the James Beard Award for Best Chef. She thanks the people of Greenville.
Greenville's very unique. Greenville loves food.
Enjoy.
People love different food. They want to experience different things.
The city of Greenville celebrates its different food at annual festivals, Fall for Greenville and Euphoria. Asheville's food festival is called Chow Chow.
I think authenticity is maybe one of the secret ingredients that has allowed Asheville to kind of get to this point.
Chow Chow celebrates Asheville's community spirit and support.
We have some of our popsicles. If I were to tell someone that I was going to quit my big-time corporate job and start a popsicle business, they would have said, "You're crazy, it's never going to work." But in Asheville, people are like, "This is great. How do we make it work?"
She says Asheville's atmosphere draws creatives who feel the freedom to try new things.
But I had this crazy idea, what if I could open a restaurant that took the best street food from all over India and put it under one roof? Reduce the cook by 20% and boom, money.
Chef Mahirwan Arani opened Chai Pani in Asheville in 2009 and won the James Beard Award for America's Most Outstanding Restaurant in 2022.
I think Asheville is still a place for folks to really, find acceptance of whatever their dream, their vision, or their creative outlet is.
Carl Sobosinski says the foodie reputations of Asheville and Greenville can complement each other.
As people come to Greenville for our food scene, but they discover Asheville, or they go to Asheville, discover its food scene, and then come and discover us.
Support for community and creativity. The winners
there's just something about eating a good meal. Doesn't really compare to much else.
are the people at the table.
And the passion of those restaurateurs is really critical. This is a tough business. Statistics show that only 1 in 5 restaurants will make it long term. Stephanie Trotter takes a look at what it is that drives people into this industry.
Just as this West Greenville neighborhood once found community around the Southern Railroad, it's now bonding around Southern Side Brewing.
Oh, it's pretty awesome.
Nate Tomford built his first full-scale restaurant nestled near the tracks, Swamp Rabbit Trail and Unity Park.
You have to have the right amount of crazy, and you have to be the right person in the right situation.
Right amount of crazy? Every restaurateur we spoke with admitted to sneaking some into their sauce. And they may need it. Almost 4,000 new places to eat and drink have opened in the upstate over the past 5 years. But for every 4 that open, 3 others close.
There's always risk. I think anytime you start a business, especially a restaurant, there's just a tremendous amount of risk that you have to be willing to live with.
The tried and true recipe for profit includes balancing 2 heaping entrees of labor and food. Side dishes feature rent, utilities, overhead, and insurance. Dessert comes with 3 cents of every dollar going to credit card companies.
You have to be aware of all of these outlying factors and really eyes wide open and not just think you can be really good at cooking food and be successful as a restaurateur.
Southern Side Brewing is one of 845 food service establishments that opened across the upstate in the year after the pandemic hit. 2021. And although that number was higher than prior to COVID, the current times are still a struggle.
Typically speaking, an independently operated restaurant is running single-digit margins.
Carl Sobosinski has opened at least 15 restaurants during his career. He's had to close some too.
It's one of the hardest things that we've had to do. It's important for our industry that we're able to cater to wherever the economy is, wherever things are in our society.
That's included learning to run lean during the recession and adopting best sanitary practices during COVID, skills that remain on the menu today. The table is set for duck breasts and curry mussels at the trap door. And while the downtown mainstay is seating its best crowds ever, owner Josh Beebe has been forced to shutter 2 other spots over the last 18 months.
It's the cruelest thing about this whole thing. It was pretty gut-wrenching.
The borough on Augusta fell to the chaos of COVID, and Barley's to post-pandemic staffing.
Because once you take the fun and the enjoyment out of it, it becomes one of the hardest jobs in the world.
Right now, all owners say the hardest ingredient to find is quality staff who sticks around to work not just days, but holidays, nights, and weekends. Josh says as many as 70% of industry workers found other passions, professions, and pay during 2020 and didn't return.
The restaurant industry is a lot about leading by example and training and being accountable to your teammates. And it was just like pushing a really hard, big rock up a steep hill.
And yet, his commitment to create a culinary community
I feel very blessed.
burns like a hot stove. He says he's not closing the door on expanding beyond the trap door.
You've got to be born to be in this industry. It's just something that it's what we know, it's in our blood, we love it. Some people would think we're a little bit, I don't know, what's the word? A little crazy? I don't know.
And their risk is certainly our reward, so be sure to tip well.
Still to come on Chronicle.
This is absolutely delicious, and as always, farm to table is the only way to go.
Chefs moving toward buying local to serve up seasonal favorites.
Look at these beautiful herbs and vegetables straight off the vine. We are in Anderson County at Growing Green Family Farm. They're a real player in the farm-to-table movement. And as Carol Clark found, there are a lot more benefits than just the great taste.
It's delivery day for beef farmer Misty Howard. Inside her thermal bag, prime grass-fed, grass-finished beef from her farm near Roebuck.
I was born and raised on a cattle farm, and it was actually Hayden, the chef here, who talked us into selling direct market, selling our beef to restaurants.
Misty and her husband now provide beef to a handful of restaurants and grocery stores, including Restaurant 17 at Hotel Domestique in northern Greenville County.
And watch them, build their business from the ground up, and now, they're our sole provider of our grass-fed beef.
Chef Hayden Schock is proud of that. He firmly believes in buying local produce.
It's important for me because there's no sense in getting things that are traveling from thousands of miles, the exact same product, when we have somebody that could be 10 minutes down the road, who, whether you're aware of it or not aware of it, you could be building relationships with them, you could be supporting their small business.
You could do both in March at this year's Farm to Table Dinner in Travelers Rest.
And the proceeds from tonight go to the TRFM Farmer Fund to support local farmers with capacity building microgrants. So we're really excited to have our neighbors here and to be supporting our farmers tonight.
And they were excited to help provide the ingredients for the evening's meal at Topsoil.
Flavor is definitely better. Picked, an hour or two a day before they're getting it. So I have new potatoes, carrots, beets, radishes, kohlrabi, bok choy, some broccolini, a handful of things. I'm excited to see what Chef does with it.
The chef at Topsoil did plenty. Dips and fresh vegetables for appetizers, salads, pork tenderloin with salsa and sauce. The crowd loved it.
This is absolutely delicious, and as always, farm to table is the only way to go.
And it's getting easier to find the way to go. Sites like Certified South Carolina show consumers where to buy local, what produce is in season. Local farmers markets attract more vendors and bigger crowds. What helps growers helps restaurants and grocery stores. At Restaurant 17, 10 to 15 farms supply product depending on the season.
With our local farmers, we really don't have a middleman, and that piece of it makes it so much more accessible and just so much more at our fingertips.
For Chef Hayden Schock, the local fresh ingredients make his job a piece of heaven. He foraged the chanterelle mushrooms.
Taking something that would essentially be a byproduct.
Fresh basil.
Local forage chanterelle.
A flavorful lunch made with what's available now.
Once we kind of focus on eating seasonally, then we'll realize how much is around us, and that's all we really need to focus on, I feel like.
And enjoy farm to table.
Chef Hayden Schock encourages all of us to support area farmers by shopping at local produce stands. That way you and your family can start your own farm-to-table tradition.
I like the mild.
Mustard sauce is the best to me.
Southerners say there's only one real barbecue sauce.
People are dedicated to it. Some people don't really care about how the meat is cooked. They care about that sauce.
But which one would that be?
All right.
Ahead on Chronicle.
We are at one of the most well-loved soul food restaurants anywhere around. Come take a look at this southern savoriness. Absolutely delicious. At OJ's Diner in Greenville, you're going to be reminded of your grandmother's house on Sunday afternoon. And here, the food is served up with that same extra helping of hospitality.
right where it needs to be. It's not too thick, not too thin.
There's a sort of generational science behind Southern soul food.
You know, it's a lot of the recipes we use here, they're family recipes.
No measuring, just a handful of this, and a dash of that.
Being that it's marinated overnight.
And an extra measure of time.
And the slow cook of it.
Passed down from, you know, my great-grandmother and my grandmother, my uncle, and it's the way they learned how to cook from their parents. And we do that here, you know.
Some of the heritage poured into these delicious dishes include lots of butter, salt-rich pork, cheese, and secret seasonings.
Put a lot of love into it, put a lot of flavor on it to make it what it is now.
And you'll see some dishes that aren't really recognizable outside of the South, like turnip greens and fried okra. But you can also count on other soul food staples that are now national favorites.
It's really like a childhood thing. Everybody likes mac and cheese. Everybody's had mac and cheese, so yeah, you know.
You never go wrong with the fried chicken. You know, I'm not just saying it because it's my place, but the fried chicken is literally the best fried chicken I've had anywhere.
Authentic Southern food is made from scratch, fresh from the garden, and rooted in family.
Oh, it's delicious. This is kind of reminds you of home, how people used to cook.
In Rabun County, Georgia, the historic Dillard House sits next to the Chattahoochee National Forest. For 11 decades now, the Dillard family is still welcoming guests to the table for their savory Southern food.
You don't rush with it, and it's seasoned with things that a lot of people don't use anymore.
Sisters Mary and Virginia meet here to share more than just a meal.
Kind of reminds us of when we were growing up. It's just plain country cooking.
Here we've got some fried zucchini.
Many of the dishes,
fried chicken,
that guests enjoy today,
lima beans, mashed potatoes, creamed corn,
are the same recipes that Carrie Dillard used more than a century ago.
My father was a visionary, and he took all my great-grandmother's recipes and put them in this cookbook and gave our guests a taste of everything that she ever did.
Y'all doing okay today?
Bye. John Dillard Jr. and his sister Natalie are now the fourth generation of Dillards to run this family business.
Without question, it's the love that we put into the food. We would rather not even open the doors unless everything is made from scratch.
And family matriarch Louise Dillard adds, the awe of the vista adds delight to the dining.
Of course, the beauty of the mountains is another reason people love to come here.
And just as you do at home with your own family, these meals are served family style.
It's all good.
Perhaps the real secret ingredient that makes Southern food so special can't be purchased or even grown.
Hospitality and Southern food are synonymous. You can't have one without the other.
And Southern hospitality is the sweetest when your strawberry cobbler comes a la mode. This crowd is passionate about this food. We better go get in line. Now, speaking of passion, if you want to pick a fight, ask a Southerner what the best base for barbecue is. Sydney Shadricks takes us inside the barbecue battles.
The best barbecue sauce is mustard-based.
It's lunchtime at Henry's Smokehouse in Greenville, which means people are taking a bite of their favorite barbecue.
I like the regular old barbecue sauce, mild. It's not ready until it's got that sauce.
And everyone has their favorite.
I like mustard sauce. Mustard sauce is the best to me. It's just got that good down-home flavor to me, and that's what I like.
It's a battle of taste.
Everybody's different, but they love what they love, and you better not talk about it.
And a battle born in tradition.
If people grew up in a barbecue family with a history and they identify with that as part of who they are, as part of their story and their history.
Whether it's a shoulder, a pork butt, or a whole hog, some folks say the barbecue battle all comes down to the sauce.
Yeah, that's when you break down from different regions. You have the mustard, you have the vinegar, you have the tomato base, and all the tweaks in there.
A vinegar and pepper-based sauce, traditionally found along the coast. A sweet tomato-based sauce in the Piedmont region. and that mustard sauce found across South Carolina.
People are dedicated to it. Some people don't really care about how the meat is cooked. They care about that sauce.
And Tay Nelson, co-owner of Bobby's Barbecue in Fountain Inn, says he aims to please all palates.
But us, we kind of got a hybrid of all of them.
And even though Buxton Hall Barbecue in Asheville is rooted in the Western North Carolina tradition, Executive Chef Nick Barr says they're also offering the staples and the standouts.
We're really honoring kind of the truest forms of different regions and bringing it to Asheville.
But no matter what you're smoking and serving, one thing is for sure, it better taste good.
Something I learned from my pops, people put this stuff in their mouth. So you better take care of them.
And even though there are a lot of different ways to prepare and to eat barbecue, Nelson and Barr say it's more about community than it is about competition. It's about the process, the people, and the purpose behind the pit.
The crackling of the wood, I love Westerns. The smelling of the smoke kind of took me back working with my dad and my brother in the kitchen.
Whether it's honoring a legacy.
So my dad and my brother, Bobby C. and Bobby Jr. When you come into the restaurant, the two pictures on the wall, that's Poppin' Jr.
Or a way to take care of the people you love. The barbecue itself may be different, but the mission is the same.
Just the desire to cook food for a lot of people and have a good time. I think that's what it's all about.
Barr says togetherness and barbecue go hand in hand. After all, when was the last time you made barbecue for just one person?
Ultimately, it's all of barbecue, all the action, it's all an act of service, and it's in the name of hospitality to take care of people around you.
We feed the body, we feed the soul. We just love on people. We give what we need.
Giving people a space to relish old memories.
I mean, the most satisfying thing that can happen to me is standing on that line and watching somebody eat food and just be like, you know, when people come up, like, this was better than my granddad's brisket, and I'm from Texas, or the corn pudding reminds me of my grandma who passed away, and we're like, people are almost in tears. Like, evoking those types of feelings, like that's what this stuff is about.
And giving them a place where everyone can pull up a chair.
You know, instead of complaining about what's wrong in the world, let's do our part to make it better. We're not gonna get it all fixed on this watch, but we can leave a little bit better for our kids and for our neighbors, and that's what I really champion the most.
Barr and Nelson say barbecue is not about the battle at all. But if you do still want to be a winner, there's only one thing you need to know.
To just do it with heart, I think that's about it.
When it comes to Southern food, barbecue, or soul food, my best advice is don't make any decisions, just try it all.
Next on Chronicle.
I call it a hole in the wall.
Small towns have delicious secrets.
The trout is the best. I like the brisket sandwich.
We'll take you to some special spots, cooking up a taste of home.
Atmosphere. I got the #1 burger. God, food is all good. All right.
Now we invite you to step off the beaten path and join us for some real great gems that we affectionately call hole in the walls, like this place. This is John Allman's Northwest Grill and Traveler's Rest. He is officially known as the Burgerologist, and here is why. This is the Northwest Grill Burger. Look at that baby. Pimento cheese, onions, and half and half. That means onion rings and fries. So while I'm enjoying this, Carlos Flores takes us for some authentic Mexican cuisine. Let's go to Boiling Springs.
Drive too fast, and you might miss it.
We started off by just being a lot of Hispanics that were coming, and and luckily, the people that are driving by see how busy it is, and they stop by and give it a try.
But like many new restaurants, El Burrito all started with an idea.
My mom, she started selling just food, driving around in her car, selling food at different little spots.
Not long after, their current location went up for sale.
My mom's like, well, let's give that a try.
The sign says authentic Mexican cuisine. But what does that actually mean?
I think an authentic Mexican food is stuff that you would find that my mom would cook at home. Obviously, you need tacos. Don't get more authentic than that. Homemade tortillas, onion cilantro. Burritos are great. They're great handheld, easy to eat while driving. Everybody knows burritos. And then if you want to get more traditional, Gorditas. Gorditas are great. Sopes. And you have like empanadas.
Burritos? Yes.
But it took time to ease the community into authentic Mexican cuisine.
At first, it kind of, people weren't, they never really saw that. So we actually had to, we would have store-bought tortillas and we would ask, do you want a homemade tortilla or a store-bought tortilla? Because people were used to that store-bought tortilla. And you know, at first, we tried it that way, but it's hard to compete with bigger places that have been doing it for years. So we just decided to do it our way.
And their bet paid off.
There was something different that people started noticing it, and you know, and they actually, hey, you know what, this is actually really good.
With a growing Hispanic community, places like El Burrito and Boiling Springs are giving people a chance to get some of Mom's home cooking right in their own backyard. A slice of Mexico, serving Spartanburg for 18 years.
It was kind of new, and everybody was kind of hesitant to try it. But now everybody's learning what real authentic food is.
From the south of the border to the mountains of western North Carolina, the owner of Bubba's Good Eat says his goal is to give a great meal and also a sense of family. Aaron Baker takes us to Burnsville.
In western North Carolina, you'll often hear Bubba as a replacement for brother. And Bubba's Good Eats in Burnsville wants everyone to feel like they're home as soon as they walk in.
We wanted a place where folks can just come and feel like they're family, feel like they're part of things.
The restaurant opened its doors in 2011. Craig Howell and the co-owners created Bubba's to be a local watering hole for Yancey County youth to celebrate achievements and generations.
It's awesome to see kids come in and they'll, hey Mom, here I am on the wall, or we're getting to the point now where the parents are like, yeah, I'm on the wall too, let me show you where I'm at.
Just like Craig's brisket.
Brisket goes for 14 hours. That's kind of my baby.
His labors of love are felt outside of the kitchen, too.
If I need funds, if I need food ordered, if I need help with a fundraiser, I call Craig and he steps up.
That's because Craig is passionate about making sure kids in Yancey County don't go hungry.
We had several of the firemen came up and said, we'll be glad to help. Any way we can, because we were part of that program. Sorry for getting emotional. It's just good to know that your efforts have reached someone.
Some more cheerwine, water.
Bubba's is all about helping the community and bringing everyone together under one roof. The only disagreements you'll hear are about the best dish.
The shrimp is delicious. And it's big shrimp. It's not that little itty-bitty stuff.
The cheeseburger or the chicken, either one.
I love the brisket. The trout is the best. I like the brisket sandwich and the grilled chicken sandwich.
A place for locals to gather and a place for people from out of town to get a first-hand look at what makes Burnsville special.
We'd like for you to come in, have a great meal, and by the time you leave, you feel like family.
Y'all come back now.
Ooh, that brisket will inspire a trip to Burnsville, won't it? Hey, remember Meat and Threes and cafeterias, kind of staples of Southern dining? Well, Carol Clark found a restaurant that combines the two in a delicious way. Let's head to Walhalla.
Fried chicken, fried flounder, fresh, hot, and golden brown. Potatoes, carrots, cabbage, rice, beans, corn, and casseroles. All the fixins for a classic Meat and Three.
We give them a choice. We put out at least 5 meats a day. They can choose whatever they want. The sides are the same. If they want a dessert today or they don't, they get to choose. And they build their own meal every day. We come here probably once a week. But even when I was pregnant with my now 24-year-old, at that time we lived in Greenwood, and I literally drove once a week to see my parents, but also to get Abby's fried chicken and his sweet tea.
And that's not a quick trip.
No, about an hour and 20 minutes, but it was well worth it.
From Greenwood to eat at Walhalla's The Steakhouse.
It's called the Steakhouse, even though they don't serve steak. Abed is known for his fried chicken, but he didn't want to call it the Chicken House. It's been the Steakhouse since 1943, so he decided to keep the name.
And this is Abed Yassen, the owner, a Muslim from Jerusalem who came to specialize in American Southern food. He married a local girl named Gloria.
She came to me, "You dream come to." I said, "What?" She said, "There's a place well-known named Steakhouse for sale. Would you like to buy it?"
He did in 1973.
You won't succeed. go and they think what people they want. Now we sometimes, our line, it will reach the parking lot.
Abed loves Walhalla, and Walhalla loves him right back. He served as the Christmas parade marshal. The state senate marked his 50th year. His place is where everyone knows your name.
Thank you, Frank. Tell Melody hello for us. I will. Okay. Hey, Mr. Knight.
And everyone knows their favorites.
The food's always good. Always good.
What's your favorite?
Chicken, the baked chicken, and the ham. Oh, it's all good.
They do fried squash like nobody else. The spinach casserole is dessert.
Dessert? Yes, we got banana pudding and pecan pie today.
A sweet finish to a hearty meat and three.
Next up, Destiny Chance takes us to Greenwood for a soul food supper with secret family recipes.
Inspired by family.
This is my grandmother.
And supported by the community.
Everybody's just so nice and sweet and just, it's just really good to be where somebody seems to be happy.
This is Granny Hands in Landis.
2009, I started cooking from home. I was selling plates out of my car and setting up at different clubs, bars, churches, and selling foods. When my grandmother passed away, I took on the torch of being the cook of the family, keeping the family together, having family events and holidays, hosting things just to keep everybody together. And one particular Thanksgiving I had cooked, and my oldest son, Telvin, he was eating and he started tasting everything, and he was just like, Mom, everything tastes like Granny. And he said, you got granny hands today.
Tish Turner comes from a big family in Promised Land, Greenwood County. She says generations of pig farmers, entrepreneurs, and amazing cooks helped mold her into the woman she is today.
Taught me how to hustle and work for myself if you want something, and he would always tell us to keep a good name.
And Tish says she loves keeping it within the family. She personally knows everyone working for her, even partnering with longtime friend Landis Young.
He does all like the turkeys and the hams and, like you said, ribs and the grilled food. My dad used to do a lot of that, and by my dad being up in age and older, he wasn't able, because before I met Landis, my dad did all of my grill stuff for me. Today for lunch we have dressing, sweet potato cobbler. But I had 3 people that have literally cried on me, like they would cry, and I was like, I haven't had this taste. Like, it's just something that would hit you when your taste bud.
Including her cousin, who makes the desserts.
Banana pudding is one of our signature desserts. We have banana pudding just like every day because people love banana pudding.
Tish says they're very proud to be booked and busy through the restaurant, food truck, catering, and special events.
Like I'm eating at home. It's delicious. Home cooking. Just like I'm eating at home.
Located off Montague Avenue in Greenwood, Granny Hands is the hometown gift that keeps on giving.
So the next time you're out riding around and your stomach starts to grumble, ask the locals where to go. It just might end up being your next favorite spot. John told me I wouldn't be able to finish this thing. I'm about to prove him wrong.
Still to come on Chronicle.
It's authentic. It's just something that you don't find everywhere else. Like I would make it at home.
The many international flavors you'll find not so far from home.
Bonjour tout le monde. That's actually French for hey all y'all. And those two cultures come together here at the Bradbury Bistro in a delicious way. Nigel Robertson takes a look at the many international flavors available in our area, thanks in part to the many international companies.
First up, Filipino fried rice and beef pancit noodles.
One's like a ramen stir fry and the other one's like a fried rice.
International flavor from the heart of downtown Anderson and the kitchen of Maki.
Some bell peppers.
We introduce your eyes and ears to the food of the Philippines.
The owner and head chef, he's Filipino, and he's pretty much taught us all down here how to cook some of his cuisine.
Each plate, not just delicious, but also a porcelain canvas for a work of art. Upstairs,
this is fresh tuna loin.
There is no heat.
This is some yellowfin tuna.
Just delicate knife skills.
This is an art form.
For that perfect roll of sushi.
Maki, like the name of our restaurant, is actually the Japanese name for roll.
Crafted by this recent graduate of TL Hanna High.
I'm not gonna say I've mastered it, but I can say like I'm pretty proficient at it, you know? This is definitely a skill that like I'm really glad that I was able to learn here, and especially in Anderson, out of all places.
Practically every main street in every downtown has some sort of international flavor. But sometimes, if you take a few steps underground, you can find a place that's pretty special.
Well, underground is a kind of an unspoken vibe that we want people to experience.
Now we take you to Velo Fellow in Greenville for a taste of jolly old England.
I'll give you the #1 thing that really makes us feel good. People say that we have the closest thing to fish and chips that you're going to get.
Potatoes cut fresh, then given a light fry. The breading recipe, we're told, is a secret.
Oh, it's delicious.
But it's not just the food, it's also the atmosphere.
And I really felt that the community would embrace a true pub feel in Greenville, and they did. There was a couple fellows just trying to get a pub going, so that's how we landed.
Now take a look at this plate.
Alles schmeckt sehr gut.
Translated into German, that means
it's all good.
And that is our final stop on this international food tour.
Yeah, the food and the beer, schnitzel and...
We are in Hendersonville.
It's just something that you don't find everywhere else.
Meet owner and head chef.
That's what the schnitzel is.
Heigl Gresser.
The schnitzel is, as I said, a very popular dish in Germany. And so basically...
Our plate starts with...
the same here?
The pork loin.
And that acts like a hammer.
In this schnitzel press.
We had to import this from Germany.
Then it's dunked in an egg bath, breaded in crumbled house-made German rolls, and fried.
You just want to get it golden brown. It doesn't take long to fix it at all.
The Royale, which we're making today, has the sliced tomatoes and Gouda cheese.
All of it melted on top.
Not much different than a chicken fried steak.
But you don't get that served with a side of Spatzel and red cabbage.
It's authentic, very authentic German, yes.
What a great beer.
But with an ever-growing international food scene.
The crowd, like I would make it at home, absolutely.
It's good to know you don't have to.
In South Carolina alone, there are more than 1,200 international businesses, and most of those are in the upstate.
Coming up on Chronicle.
I want to go out and do what I'm passionate about, and food is something I'm passionate about.
Culinary training for people in all ages and stages of life.
We can't walk into a restaurant in Greenville without seeing our students, and we love it.
This is Gather Greenville on the city's west side. And Gather Greenville is now a national name. That's because the readers of USA Today selected Gather Greenville as the #6 best food hall in the entire country. Stephanie Trotter shows us how food halls and food trucks are popping up faster than you can say, "I'm ready to order, please."
It's a typical Tuesday in Greer.
Okay.
Val and Elaine Kang touch base with their vendors inside Cartwright Food Hall. The establishment just marked 1 year in business.
Been a learning curve, right? Like everything else in life.
Val remembers visiting the historic building on Trade Street for the first time. The empty space filled his mind with 2 words: food hall. He rushed home.
Talked to my wife, hey babe, we're gonna open a food hall. And she says, what is that?
The couple spent the night watching YouTube videos on food halls. They say there were about 200 in the country.
Order for Jay.
Cartwright made 201. Food halls have been one of the fastest simmering ingredients in the restaurant industry. The market's expected to grow to almost $72 billion by 2026.
The reason is people always like options. People always want to go where there are options.
Customers like the options that include comfort, quick service, and higher quality fare than fast food. Owners like lower startup costs, shared overhead, and a built-in audience. 24 miles away, construction's begun.
Honestly, it's emotional.
On the mill at Fountain Inn.
I get fired up every time I see it, to see how far it's come in such a short period of time.
Brian Beal is leading the project in the heart of the city. The historic flour mill and nearby buildings will soon house a brewery, a food hall with 6 tenants, and a common area.
They're going to build new stairs right there.
Brian says early on, a food hall trumped the idea of a single establishment.
And we thought having a number of different offerings was going to just be a special thing that we could do, and it would bring more variety, get more local restaurants here in Fountain Inn, and kind of put Fountain Inn on the map in terms of a destination.
Another segment of the industry experiencing growth includes food trucks. More than 24 are permitted out of this commissary in Malden. Owners come here to conduct food prep and service their vehicles. More than 200 upstate food trucks are registered with DHEC, dishing up everything from traditional barbecue and tacos to Thai and Turkish cuisine. Corey Gaither's been serving smiles and Caribbean food.
I love it. I love it.
For 5 years.
It's a party. I tell people it's work, but I tell people once I get set up, it's like a party.
The party rages for food truck owners with mobility, flexibility, and low overhead. Downsides include the weather and zoning laws, setup, and tear down.
There is a physical aspect. I tell people it is a physical conditioning that goes along with living a food truck. It's not for everybody.
More trucks are expected to roll across the industry. They typically see higher profit margins than brick and mortar.
I think if future food trucks it's endless. Somebody want the curry chicken?
A road that could run on forever.
There are opportunities available to chefs at all ages and stages here. And that's one of the things that contributes to our area being such a foodie destination. Gabrielle Komorowski explores some of the many pathways to a job in the culinary world. And she says the future of the industry looks delicious.
Grab how many you need. You got it, hold tight. Pour it into each one.
It's summer camp in the kitchen. Mixing.
I need the
pouring. Laughing.
Okay, you're making kind of a layer so you
learning.
We've learned a lot. We learned how to use big mixers and piping tips.
Wearing aprons and working in a professional kitchen at the Truist Culinary and Hospitality Innovation Center at Greenville Technical College. These middle school students get hands-on experience.
I think it's very important to spark interest at a young age,
so that spark can grow.
Put the scissors up here, okay?
Students in the Carolinas and Georgia with an appetite for the industry can keep learning in high school through the National Pro Start curriculum, where they can earn scholarships and college credit.
I want to go out and do what I'm passionate about, and food is something I'm passionate about.
Season that one, we'll put that in the new hot box. Make sure.
That passion brought this student to Greenville Technical College's Culinary Institute of the Carolinas.
We are training students for management level positions.
Students get real-world training at the school, creating and serving food, and they learn the business side of the industry.
Our goal is for the students to be able to come out of this program, walk right into a kitchen, minimal training, and they're ready to go.
They don't go far from home. Department head chef Kristen Grissom says about 85% of graduates work locally.
We can't walk into a restaurant in Greenville without seeing our students, and we love it.
When I get a resume and I've seen that they have some sort of Greenville Tech experience there, that automatically brings that resume to the top.
We're here to go. Thank you. You said the carrot cake?
And that is how Heather Grillo,
this one's our strawberry mousse cake,
ended up in the kitchen of Old Europe Coffee and Desserts in downtown Greenville as the assistant pastry chef.
Preparing all of the beautiful desserts that are in our pastry case.
She was already a food photographer.
I not only wanted it to look good, I wanted it to taste good.
And when her twin sons were looking at college courses, she did too.
I thought, they're going, why can't I go? You know, this is a new chapter in my life as well.
Heather enrolled in the Quick Jobs program at Greenville Technical College, learning professional baking and cooking. She went from classroom to kitchen in a few months.
It's never too late. And it was so quick. And I had no idea how much I would love the fast pace of this industry.
We're one big family.
Love is one of the ingredients that Table 301 founder and president Carl Sobocinski says is part of his legacy.
I had a dream, and a lot of people came on board and chased the dream with me and helped achieve it. And so, now it's paying it back.
In 2019, Poppy's Tacos in downtown Greenville moved from the Table 301 restaurant group to the restaurant's namesake, Poppy, becoming the owner and operator.
That's the hardest working man and great family man, and can't talk about Poppy without.
To help Table 301 employees achieve their dreams, Sobocinski set up this model of support. Employees can aim to become the owners and operators of the restaurants where they work. He says Gianna and Passerelle Bistro have followed a similar model, and other Table 301 restaurants are set up for that transition in the future.
They can provide for their family, and it's probably the the thing that makes me feel the best about what we've done.
A commitment to his restaurant family.
Food feeds, our requirement for nourishment, but if you feed somebody's soul, that lasts forever.
Creating a successful recipe for the future of this industry in the place we call home.
Whether it's a national restaurant that's made a list and attracted people from all over the country, or your favorite little hole in the wall where you gather with friends, there is a lot of pride in Carolina cuisine. But really, it's all about gathering, sitting around a table, sharing a meal with friends, and making memories. Right, guys? Thank you for joining us for Chronicle Carolina Cuisine. I'm Jane Robelo.
Hungry for more? Head to the WYFF4 mobile app or WYFF4.com for an interactive map of the restaurants featured. Just look in the Chronicle section and download the Very Local app to see what else is on the menu in Greenville.